Obey the Puck. I don't know. I'm not your host, really.
You're kind of the host.
I'm kind of the host?
Yeah, you're the host.
I am the host. Dan, what do they call me? Don't start. No, this is how we're going to go. Dan, the man, the above-average comedian. I can't call myself that. I'm Dan Calachico. My co-host, the boss, Kelly Levy. Are we going by your real name?
Sure.
Kelly Super. It's going to change soon.
I have nothing to hide. So
all those kids years ago.
I'm not going to talk about that.
Oh, I'm sorry. Well, we are going to talk about simple hockey. Yep. I mean, it's not going to be about anything particular. Obviously, we're going to talk more about the NHL since they're the ones that can apparently afford a TV deal.
Well, yeah, they're much easier to keep up with because they're on the TV.
They're on that TV screen. But we're going to talk about any hockey. Anybody listening who wants to talk about anything hockey, juniors, roller hockey, meh.
It does still exist.
It's somewhere.
It's not on the TV anymore.
What's the team that follows me on Twitter? I tweeted something once about hockey, and the Fire Ants, not that Fire Ants that you have the poster they're up in New York somewhere. Dang it, I can't remember now. I'm going to give them a shout-out. I'll do that later. But basically, we're going to be talking about hockey, and we're going to start the show, see where it goes. We have a basic format. Right off the bat, I want to thank the Dean of Credibility in name and in life, Dean Dixon, for taking this idea and letting us run with it and actually branching off into the Hell in the Cell talk radio network. I mean, this man, the Dean of Credibility, my bad. This man, he had a vision that we're not going to get too much into it. It's a separate show, but it all started. We were on Dean and I were on a kind of other show we don't talk about. It was awesome. And he decided, let's start something better. The year has been a lot of ups, some downs, but more ups than downs. And we've been throwing this around because when we get talking, especially me, I said, we should just do a podcast. And then you brought up to me like, well, when are we going to do this podcast? Should not just nod your head. There's a mic in front of you. There you go. And she's shy, folks. No,
I was listening to your story.
But I love hockey. Is the only thing I watch more old footage of hockey is wrestling. And but that's already taken care of. Wednesday nights at 9. On Cell Talk Radio. But thank you, Dean, because we got Moose Knuckle Entertainment debuting tomorrow night at 9:30, bi-weekly. We got Obey the Puck, at least for the foreseeable hockey season. We'll get some extra content with the Olympics, but this could go to June.
It should go to June through the playoffs.
Unless I don't care.
Well, the minor leagues catch up eventually with the major. So.
But speaking of the minor leagues, before even... I've done that before, so that's okay, knocking down that mic. Before we even go into the NHL, I mean, how long ago did we buy tickets for the Phantoms versus Bears in February of next year in Philadelphia?
Well, you got those as soon as they were announced.
We're going. Okay, they're playing the Bears. That's fine.
Yeah, any excuse to go see our teams. I think for me, the Bears are truly my team. I mean, I'm a Caps fan, but I've gone all over the place to watch the Bears, and I love live hockey. So any excuse to go see live hockey, I really don't care who's playing. It doesn't matter.
I mean, we're going to get into that soon about our first games. Like I said, we had a format. In the beginning of most shows, we're going to talk about scores highlighted scores. Not every single game, because every week there's about, 50?
Too many.
First the Jets 1, 3-4, then 4-5, then 6-7. We're not going to do that. We are going to talk about the preseason so far. And my takeaway, specifically, the hybrid icing that they were using, that just got announced about 5:30 today that they're going to implement. The NHLPA has voted to keep it for the regular season.
Right. Yeah, they had to agree to it for the regular season.
Now, explain what icing, and then explain what hybrid icing is for the people out there.
Well, icing is the
stuff they put on the cake.
The delicious.
That's what I'm here, folks, for. Waka waka. Go ahead. I'm sorry. Good.
Icing is simply that the when you're in your defensive zone, the
guy with the puck shoots it across the ice.
If you shoot it out of the defensive zone when you're not on the power play and it goes over the red line, it's icing.
Basically, you race to get but that team, the offensive team, has to grab it first. Defensive team has to grab it first. Excuse me.
Yeah.
They've stopped that, and it was the reason for hybrid icing is once it passed the line, it's referee's discretion now.
Yeah, the ref makes the call whether or not the defensive player has the advantage. If they have a clear advantage, the referee makes a call, and the guys don't have to go crashing into the board down at the end of the ice. And
I'm assuming, God, watching these guys, I'm sorry, we have the NHL Network on while we're doing the show, folks. Anywho, we'll talk about that later. Do you think it was done more because of the excitement of trying to race into the corner that we're not going to have anymore, or was it done more of a safety thing?
Well, from the player's perspective, I would assume it was all about safety, trying to stretch out careers that you see a lot of injuries, a lot of weird angles and high speeds going into those boards. And a lot of times they're just not necessary. So I think for the players it makes sense that they support it. But from what I heard, it was kind of split down the middle. So I was surprised to see that they made the announcement that they're going to go with it. They've been doing this in the AHL for several seasons.
I was about to ask. They've been using it for a couple of seasons.
Yeah, they do that a lot. They'll try stuff out in the AHL and see how it goes.
All right, here's a question I've been wanting to ask. Listen, I'm a hockey fan, but you know hockey almost inside and out. That's your thing, is hockey, pretty much.
Yeah.
My simple question is, AHL obviously is a separate league from the NHL.
Yes.
Is it a contracted, definitely has to be minor league to the NHL as the dog pushes you from behind? Dog, Roscoe.
He's fine.
He doesn't like hockey. He's German. Explain to me how the relationship, this is me now, how the exact relationship between the AHL and the NHL works.
Well, now I believe an AHL team has to be affiliated with the NHL team. I think there's two teams that are grandfathered in, so Hershey and I believe Rochester do not have to have a parent club because they've existed.
They just choose to?
Well, yeah, most teams are going to choose to because the parent club picks up
money.
Salary and pays.
How is Hershey not a professional? How is Hershey not in the N? How is that a non-NHL team? For those who are not hockey fans who don't know, Hershey is the second or the longest AHL team.
Well, they're the longest. The AHL started officially in 1936, and the Bears started in 1938.
Right. How is a team that tenured as long? I mean, you can throw it up there with the Rangers, throw them up there with the Montreal Canadiens. How is that not an NHL? How is that not just put you're in the end? Forget it.
I don't know. I don't think they've ever seriously pursued it.
They don't need to, I guess.
But they do.
I've been there.
Yeah, they do quite well.
Oh.
They do quite well doing their thing. The fans there are. That's one of my favorite things about going to a game at Hershey is
other than the smell.
Well, that's a great smell. Yeah. I mean, it's the greatest place on earth, in my humble opinion. You got chocolate, roller coasters, and hockey. You can't beat that.
Wow.
But I love going to a game in Hershey, and you see, 6 generations of fans. And there are fans from back in the old days who are just as crazy about the teams now as they've been, throughout their life. And it's really fun to see. And it's real fun to see several generations, like a family comes and it's got the grandparents, parents, and the kids, and they're all decked out in their gear, and not just that they like the Bears, but they love hockey.
But that's the thing. I've been to, God, I can name 50, 60 hockey games in my life. But when I went to the first Bears game with you, it was a different atmosphere. Other than it was a smaller arena, and I don't mean that insultingly. I mean, I always say, one of the favorite chants of it, I'm calling every fan out. I'm calling Flyers fans out, Rangers, Devils, Pittsburgh, kiss my ass, Washington. You have nothing. You as a fan base have nothing on the Hershey Bears when you can start a BS chant. Are we explicit? No.
I have no idea.
We're going to go with family for now. When you can start a BS chant, one dude at one side of the arena, one dude to the other side of the arena stands up, points to everybody, counts down to 4, and they go B-U-L-L, and it was the great.
Everyone's on beat.
One of the best things I've ever seen. No, those fans, you have nothing on Bears fans. Sorry. And screw you guys, I'm a hardcore Flyers fan.
Nope.
I could go on about Spectrum, Kate Smith. That was one of the best crowds I've ever been in at a hockey game.
Yeah, Hershey's a special place, and I think.
And I'm not kissing your butt because I don't care.
No, I know.
Screw you.
You're a Phantoms fan, and that's fine. And I think that's another great thing about Hershey is, I mean, they've been doing this long enough when the fans come to Hershey, and there's always a ton of Phantoms fans that come. There's always a ton of Wilkes-Barre fans that come, the Baby Pens, because they're not too far away either.
From Scranton.
From Scranton. And lots of fans from other teams come to Hershey, and it's always, you have fun. There's some name calling, but it's all in good fun. Nothing gets.
Not if it's coming from a Philly dude.
Nothing gets.
If it's coming from a Philly dude, he's being an ass.
Yeah, they ask those guys to leave, which is how it's supposed to be done.
Thank you. That's right.
It's just a game.
Speaking of, never mind. No, we'll get into that. That's for another time. I'm gonna try my best to stick to format and do my brother Dean proud, even though I've already kind of gone off it, mostly because I can't figure out where I put it. There it is. Now, one of the things you wanted to talk about as far as the preseason was, do we go into why you're so fascinated with designs?
No.
You're just fascinated with designs.
I love logos and that kind of thing.
3 jerseys? 3 jerseys came out? 3 new jerseys? No. 1, 2, 3, 4.
Oh, I think there was a couple of teams tweaked jerseys.
Tweaked. Well, when you say the word tweaked, the first one I think about is Carolina.
Yeah.
The home jersey's the road jersey's okay with the black lettering, but the home jersey's kind of the same, but
it's the same but less interesting, that's an amazing design feat just on the on the design front. I mean, that's hard to pull off to make it even less interesting than it was. Not that it was, setting the world on fire before, but
well, I mean, it's a gale force wind flag.
Yeah, but
look that up, folks.
Missed opportunity.
Now, then we go to the other side, which is Dallas, who was due for a new jersey, not the state, for how long? Years?
I think
since they left Minnesota, I think they've been kind of
Yeah, they've been kind of playing on the old North Stars logo.
It's over, guys.
Yeah.
It's been how many years now?
It's been a while. Minnesota has a team again, so it's okay.
It's okay, guys. So, speaking of Minnesota, their New Jersey, the road jersey.
Oh, I love those jerseys.
That's perfect. And there was nothing wrong with those jerseys to begin with.
Not at all. Minnesota's been my favorite jersey, home and away.
How can you perfect something that was already perfect? It's pretty good. Then you go to the other side, Buffalo.
Ugh.
And anybody who's listening, whether it be live or later on, please look up 2013 new Buffalo jersey and vomit with us, because that's the color of it.
Oh, yeah.
But it's blue on the front. It's like Two-Face if he designed a jersey. I think it'd be a good idea to have a different color on the front and on the back. Nobody else does it.
Yeah, talking about it, it makes me wonder philosophically, what bothers me more, the just out and out ugly jersey that the Buffalo came out with, or the, like I was saying, just the boring jersey that Carolina came out with.
Part of it's boring.
Part of me is
right,
like, if you're gonna go for it, you might as well go all out and fail spectacularly, like Buffalo has, because those are just hideous. But on the other hand, you know, the Carolina one is it's not that bad.
See, I was one of the few, because I grew up with a bunch of friends that were hockey players and fans with me. I mean, with us, I didn't know you. And a lot of people crapped on me. I liked the red and black Buffalo scheme.
Oh, yeah.
Because it was different. Nobody had those red and black. The Devils were the only team really you could go. And then when they brought back, I think it was for the Classic, when they first brought back no, because they went to the Buffalo Slug.
Buffalo Slug.
I forgot. They went back to blue and yellow.
Yeah.
And they had the Buffalo that looked like it was diving off a roof.
Yeah. Well, yeah, it didn't look like a buffalo.
It was like a buffalo head tax with a slug.
It was a electric caterpillar thing. It was bad. It was so bad. And that was
that Grateful Dead.
They didn't have to do that. Buffalo was one of the few teams, one of the few like newer teams that had a perfect.
There's no reason to change
absolutely
a buffalo
perfect.
behind a saber.
Buffalo and saber without the words. Perfect.
Perfect.
You don't have to mess with that.
They were the first team to put the numbers on the front, which San Jose came around. My friend Jose.
Jose just started stitching numbers on the front of jerseys.
Hey, you know, they feel pretty good, man. San Jose took it around, and it looks fantastic.
Well, San Jose has always had, I think San Jose just has a better designer working for them, because in general, their stuff looks really solid.
By the way, if anybody's listening who wants to call in and talk about any of this stuff, we originally formatted we're only at the end. We take calls. Take calls at any time. 718-664-9133. And follow us on Twitter. I forgot to mention that. Obey Puck Show. I'm going to have an email address because I had an idea pop in my head that I'm going to have ready for the next episode. So I'm going to need an email address.
Woohoo! Email.
Email. It's the idea I've already forgotten, so I'm going to need to.
Oh, good. So that'll go well.
Yeah, remember that next. But yeah, there was no need for Buffalo to change the jerseys in the first place. And this was just, I don't get it. It was like when the Flyers went to black. Remember in the mid-'90s, everybody had to have a third jersey? They went to black. No offense, black guys. But they went to orange. It's orange and black. Then black and orange.
Well, everyone had a black jersey in the 90s, let's be honest. I mean, anybody who had a chance to do a third jersey, it was always mostly black, and that was San Jose's fault. Because San Jose came in league with those great first jerseys, and they had the black. And everybody loved them, and it became like a fashion thing, and then all the teams just fell in line.
But it was like a reverse thing. When the black jerseys came out, I was like, I need it. And in fact, the only jersey I've ever had signed by a Flyer is my black Leclerc jersey. But then they went predominantly black, and I was like, no, it's orange. You can't do the orange. You can't do the Orange Crush without the orange.
Yeah. Philly is orange, and
that's it.
They've had that strong. Well, they had the logo when they started in '67, and they've only tweaked that jersey
3 times maybe.
A couple of times, and they don't need to.
They made a wider stripe, and then they had the road cone, which you call it, which was my favorite jersey.
Right, yeah, with the weird silvery outline.
Silver kind of futuristic fly, which they only used every now and then. That was the idea.
Yeah.
And then they had those fur. I was sitting in a room with former Flyer defenseman Kerry Huffman. I'm no lie. It was after I got laid off from the mortgage company, and he did mortgages for sports guys like Riley Cote came in. Hi, Kerry Huffman. Good guy. That was me tickets. Right before he walked in to ask me to do something for him, and right before I walked into the office to talk to him, I was at home and the Flyers unveiled their jerseys. So while I was in the office with him, I was like, Kerry, have you seen the new jerseys your boys are wearing? He goes, where are they? They're on the website. He goes, oh.
that's a ringing endorsement from a former player.
Well, you know, I mean. But now you know I was trying so hard to get that off of eBay because I was like, it grew into me. I like that jersey. But now when they went to the Classic, it came back with just that orange and the regular. That's one of the few teams like Buffalo. It's the original point. Hey, I brought it back around. It's good.
Very good.
Thank you, Dean. If you're listening, you see how I did that? I can do that when I really try hard now. You didn't need to mess with it. Period.
Yeah.
Well,
speaking of that, the other jerseys that came out were the Winter Classic jerseys that were announced for last season, but because of the lockout,
they technically announced them.
Yeah, they we all knew what they looked like, and everyone was.
All right, the Winter Classic is where it's at. What stadium is it?
It's going to be at the Big House, Michigan.
I don't know.
University of Michigan.
University. So the Steiner brothers will be there. Reference. Yes, I had to get one in there. On the Cell Talk Radio, Wednesdays at 9. I won't do that all the time. I can't help it.
Okay. I know it's on, but
that hurts. That hurts my feelings. You're fired.
Okay.
Bye. But it's going to be Detroit and Toronto, right?
Yep.
I forgot because we didn't have enough money in our pockets. We had to wait. Never mind. For another time. The first Detroit Winter Classic jersey, you and I both agree, was pretty damn perfect.
Oh yeah,
I love that jersey.
That was a great jersey.
Old style,
kind of a throwback to something that they wore early in the Red Wings history, but it wasn't an exact replica. But it kind of brought all of the really great elements of the classic sweater design into
when they were sweaters.
Yeah, when they were actually sweaters.
And the Toronto one, I mean, unless you go back to the St. Pat's, you really can't tweak that too much. Unless you go back to the mid '70s when they had the 70s kind of look to it.
Yeah, the Winter Classic one this year harks back to when the logos on the sweaters were stitched by hand, so they weren't perfectly symmetrical. The letters
awesome.
they look great because they look homemade, even though I don't think Nike's done them, thank God, because Nike only does bad things with jerseys now based on...
Well, look at the freaking Team Canada. It was last Wednesday. I was on the air at Hell in a Cell, and you walked in, literally, and you just pointed, and I had to mute and go, what the F is that?
Yeah.
And again, those following along playing the home game, look up 2014 Winter Olympic Canada jerseys and U.S. jerseys, because I don't get it.
Ugh,
it's almost as bad as the one that the super team had in the 70s with it looked like a maple leaf falling off a tree. With Bobby and Clark and Esposito were all on the team.
Well, those are classic jerseys.
I know, but they look stupid.
No, that at least there was some thought put into it. The new one, oh gosh, the new ones are terrible.
Oh.
The Team Canada stuff is just inexcusable. How can you mess up Team Canada Olympic jersey?
Hello. Red, white, maple leaf.
It has to be a maple leaf.
It's like Japan. Red, white, circle. The rising sun.
Yeah.
What else do you need?
And yet Nike.
How can you have star stripes? They did.
Yeah, with the stars on the shoulders, so it looks like messed up dance.
It looks like if Hacksaw Jim Duggan was going to put on a pair of skates. Oh! Down he goes. It looks terrible.
And the fake laces.
Oh, I don't even want to. They're fake laces? So they don't even tighten anything.
They're just some weird thing that's meant to look like, laces.
For your cat to play with string.
Yeah, I don't... just a miss on every front from Nike and the Olympic jerseys. I don't know why anyone would sign off on those. Because at some point, someone agreed to them. I don't.
Yeah, that was good. There
must have been a lot of alcohol involved in that meeting, or
something. You know what, Bill? I think those jerseys look good. I think we should. And he's sitting there going, "Really? I didn't even try."
Or maybe
this is my first try. Want me to do a few more? No,
that's perfect. That's perfect. Moving on.
We only got 7 months. Go.
Moving on.
Make that.
How many of these are we going to sell to people? That'll be the true test. That's all Nike cares about. Is
How much do they sell?
How many
Who would buy that?
How many will they sell? I hope no one buys them
Who
and teaches them a lesson because they're awful.
Before,
It's going to make watching the Olympics painful, and I love me some Olympic hockey.
no,
I love Olympics in general. But
one of the things we mentioned, I wanted to mention, and I'll mention it now when we're watching the preseason. How many games during that first preseason week were at Olympic-sized arenas?
oh yeah,
The Caps that played the Winnipeg Jets.
Yeah, the Hockeyville game was at is that Belleville?
Yes, Bell.
Yeah,
thank you.
Which is an Olympic-sized rink, which is
You know, they were loving it. I don't care. Anybody who says they didn't, they were loving the space. I guarantee
yeah.
they were loving the space.
yeah, especially the European guys because that's what they play.
And
on.
anybody who's listening, here's a hint. You want to know why the rink isn't that big at hockey arenas in America? Seats. Money.
Well, yeah. Anytime the NHL,
Take out a few seats and raise the... hello?
Well, but that's a problem. Take out a few seats, you're taking out the biggest money seats in the house, and nobody wants to do that.
I say stick a dude in each corner of the rink, see how long they last. Sit him in a chair. He's dead. So, the next topic you wanted to bring up was the preseason. And you were telling me off air, by the way, download the Mystery Men album for $9. I'll get that all together for the next show. What? I'm sorry. God dang it. I was on a roll, man. I was impressing myself.
And it all just
came, what are we talking about? Preseason. You want to talk about the preseason?
This is why we have a preseason, because you got to get it all together before the puck drops.
Our preseason has been the last 3 years yapping to each other.
That's true, but that just always winds up screaming, yelling, and leaving rooms.
Before you go on, what do you yell every time the referee doesn't put the puck on the ice?
Drop it!
Yeah.
There's a swear in there.
There's a swear in there somewhere. Every time. It could be the 50th game of the year. Drop the effing puck! Every time.
I have this theory that referees, they get into the face-off circle and they feel the warmth of the players and they just feel comfortable and they feel like...
You guys, I don't want to leave you.
They could probably, confess their sins or something, and they just hold on to that puck way too long.
I
want to see some violence on ice.
Well, it's not about the violence.
Oh, it's about the violence.
Oh.
Sometimes.
Hashtag Hartnell down.
Hashtag goalie fight.
Goalie fight. Speaking of preseason.
The two greatest words in hockey, ladies and gentlemen, goalie fight.
When you got, and who was your favorite? Because I have my favorite. When you saw the goalie, when the team was getting ready to start brawling, you're like, ah, crap, here he comes. Because I'll tell you mine.
Oh, well, my favorite player of all time is Ole Kolzig of the Washington Capitals. He didn't have too many goalies. I don't think too many people wanted to mess with Ole because he's a big dude.
Especially his old mullet.
Yeah. I think the one epic fight he had was with Defoe, and him and Byron Defoe were best friends. Like they were.
Yeah, that doesn't count because they were like, I don't want to hurt you too much.
Weddings, so yeah, it wasn't really a fight so much as a tug of war.
But I'll tell you one goalie, and then we'll go into the topic. This is why we format the show. Ron Hextall.
Hextall. Yeah, I noticed you slipped that into the opening there.
I didn't slip anything. That was our lovely producer.
Mm-hmm.
I told him what I wanted, and that's what I got.
Yeah.
Well, he did. He's put your stupid.
If I had any input, I would have got Dale Hunter's breakaway against.
Screw you. Ron Hextall.
The Flyers.
The Flyers. Who was that? Who did he beat?
Hexy.
I know.
Oh, I forget.
God,
I forget who he blew past. And when
Dale Hunter's what? Nothing, producer. Dale Hunter's nothing.
And when
you don't want Dale Hunter's anything. No.
When Dale Hunter flies past
God
you,
dang it!
That's not good.
Yeah. When Dale Hunter, and listen, Dale Hunter's one of the greatest Washington Capitals that ever lived. But if he's speeding past you, you F. I'm coming. I'm coming. I got it in. Ah! By the way, it was Dale Hunter's breakaway against the Flyers. See, in the intro, for those who are new to the show, the intro consisted, which is everybody.
Everybody.
Yeah, right. New to our interest. In the intro contains the Capitol score and their goal song, which I didn't know all teams have a goal song now.
Yeah, all
What's
teams.
That's the Flyers.
That's the Flyers.
Why?
It all started with the Blackhawks, I believe.
Those effers.
2010 with the Chelsea Dagger thing. That's
right.
Really annoying. I think some teams had goal songs, but it wasn't everywhere until that.
Well, wasn't it in the mid-90s? Wasn't it? Wasn't everybody?
I thought that song had specifically been written for hockey. It wasn't until a long, long road trip at some point that I heard that. I was like, that's an actual song that someone released. Yeah. I was amazed. The Twilight Zone. I was amazed by that. And the fact that somehow became, completely ingrained in hockey was amazing to me.
Well, even the EA Sports used it for the NHL. It was 96, I think.
It was inseparable from hockey.
And if anybody's listening, please correct me. We want this show to be interactive. So if you're listening and you want to, please call in, tweet us, Obey Puck Show, email. I'll get the email going next week. We want this to be completely interactive.
Well, we had talked about that.
What are we talking about?
We had talked about the show and you
I was talking about like we should get some minor league guys onto that. I don't want to make it about them. I want to make it about the fans.
I've talked to and met so many hockey fans over the years because I've like I said I love to go to games and watch.
What's your real reason, Kel? Why don't you out yourself right now?
My real
your hobby.
Oh, because I collect pocket schedules. So through that, which is kind of strange, I guess, in the sports world because as popular as football and baseball
Hockey's
and
the most popular
hockey is the schedule collectors tend to be diehard hockey fans.
That's the weirdest thing I discovered.
It's really weird. So I've met hockey fans from all over, all different teams, all different levels, and hockey fans are the nicest people I've encountered.
Yeah, you like the Flyers. Well, you're okay. My book just pissed me off.
Yeah, don't talk to me
during the game.
But all other times is okay. As long as there's some alcohol involved, it will be okay.
I didn't get that tweet from Hell in the Cell Radio. He's going to have to explain that to me. But the call-in is 718-664-9133. I didn't pick the 9133, by the way, if you're wondering. Your first game, you wanted to talk about, since this was our opening show, you wanted to talk about our first game, where you have a memory and I kind of have a half-assed memory.
Well, I have... There's two first games in my world. There's the first game I saw on TV, and then the first game I saw in person. The first game I saw on TV was actually kind of...
What happened first?
Oh, TV.
Okay, you're on a roll. Go for it.
Yeah.
I'll shut up.
The first game I saw on television was I was out with my dad. We went up to the track, Rosecroft Racetrack up in Maryland, and he put in some bets at the track, and then we drove home, and that's about it's about an hour away. So we got home, and on the old Home Team Sports Network, which used to be the cable channel around these parts.
I was going to say, was that like Prism up in Philly?
Yeah, it was like Prism and
Sports Channel,
and all those kind of regional sports, MSG and all that stuff that's kind of gone away. Home Team Sports used to have a half-hour wrap-up show, and they would give all the results of the horse races from that night, because the horses raced at like 8 o'clock at night. And so at 11, they would play each of the races, because they only take like 2 minutes when you cut out all the time in between them, and they'd give you, what horse won and how much the ticket would be worth and that kind of thing. So we got home, and Dad and I sat downstairs. We were waiting for the post-time from Rosecroft show to come on, and the hockey game was on. It was the Caps and the Islanders.
Boo!
Well, yeah. And
fuck you.
They were, I believe we came in at the end of the third period, which at the time I didn't know. But it turned out that the first game I ever saw was it's known as the Easter Epic. It was the 4 overtime Capitals Islanders game. So the funny part of the story really is that my dad and I sat there and watched 3 overtimes.
Jeez.
With my dad progressively getting angrier and angrier that they would not show the horse racing results. Eventually, he went up to bed. But I stuck it out to the bitter end and saw Pat LaFontaine crush the Capitals' dreams and hopes. In that,
Pat LaFontaine.
In that 4th overtime. And I can't say I was hooked, but I was definitely intrigued. So, I mean, that was, I believe, was that the last game of the series or not? I don't even know. But
I don't know.
After that, I was aware of hockey, and I would catch it on television when I could. Back in the day, that all the Caps games weren't on TV. It was completely random. It was like when they didn't have, bowling from Zimbabwe or something on. They would stick the Caps on because 9 people were going to watch it or something.
Bowling from Zimbabwe.
It wasn't until Yager got to Washington that all the Caps games were actually on television, and that was 2001. So
are you serious?
The
Caps.
It was close. It was close before he got here, but it was not all.
I knew the Caps.
Yeah.
Frickin' Dale Hunter.
Yeah, exactly.
That's Flyers lore for you.
So that
we got this, Dale Hunter.
So that was my first game that I saw on TV, and I should have known the heartbreak that it would be being a Caps fan.
Being a Caps fan.
It really sums up Caps hockey in one game, really. First game in person, I went to Richmond. A friend of mine at the time had tickets for the Richmond team, mentioned it kind of out of the blue one day. Hey, do you want to go see a hockey game? And I knew, like I said, I had started keeping up with hockey, that the Caps weren't playing, and they weren't any. I think they were even out of town. I was like, "What are you talking about?" He's like, "Well, there's a team in Richmond," and that phrase right there was enough.
There's a team in Richmond?
There's a hockey team in Richmond, Virginia. I was like, "Oh yeah, I need to see that."
The only thing in Richmond was there's nothing in Richmond.
There's nothing in Richmond. Richmond is possibly the most depressing state capital
more than one reason
you will ever encounter.
For more than one reason.
So I went down to the Richmond Coliseum and watched a great game, and I can't remember the opponent. Chances are it was either South Carolina, the South Carolina Stingrays, or the Hampton Roads Admirals. But I'm thinking it was the Stingrays.
Hampton Roads Admirals?
The Hampton Roads Admirals, who became the Norfolk Admirals.
That answered my question.
The Hampton Roads Admirals and Richmond was an epic rivalry. Those games were not forgettable in any way, shape, or form ever. They hated each other, and they would fight nonstop. It was great. Mm-hmm. So I think the first game I saw might have been a South Carolina Richmond game, which was a great game, but it wasn't incredibly memorable.
That's all right.
But yeah, live hockey is what really started the need into mainline hockey. Going to see a game live it's a completely different world than watching it on TV.
No, one of the things is, and that thing is, recently it was the first bad year for the Flyers. It was 06-07. Where I started, because of where I worked, you had a bunch of executives at the mortgage company who had tickets to Flyers games, but sometimes they couldn't always use them. So I would be the one they called at the end of the day because they knew the fandom of me. And these are tickets at the back, the very last row, and I think the tickets were worth $25 each. That's where you want to watch a hockey game. Because not only do you get the hardcore for those Philly fans out there, that's where Dancing Sean used to sit, up at the top, 3 seats away from me, shaking his, look at him and look at me, is that right? Wow. Sorry, I did not know that about him. I don't remember the team they played. I don't remember the year. I'm pretty sure it was 90. It was the first year Lindros was a player, full time.
Oh, 92, 93.
No, 94. We've had this discussion. It was 93, 94, or 94, 95.
Okay, that's right. Yeah, because for me it all goes by schedules, and he was all over the Ontario Hockey League schedules in 91.
Look at me.
Back when he
a friend of mine.
He was the next one.
He was the next one too. You can't be the next one of something that's only one. Okay? Crosby? There's already one.
Okay.
And no, don't touch me. Seriously.
Okay.
That pisses me off. There's only one, and his name is Gretzky. You could be a second or a third. You can't be the one. That's Wayne Gretzky. There's only one Rocket Richard. There's only one Flower. There's only one Gretzky. There's a bunch of Lindroses because their head hurts.
Yeah.
Sorry. That's not nice.
Well, because they see two of everything.
Oh, there's Eric and Brent. How's his career going? Anyway.
Yeah.
But I got a call. I was home. Mom was home too. But we lived in a little apartment, and I was in the house, and she was out on the porch. I don't know. She wasn't in the room. She tells the story better, and I didn't think enough ahead of time to get her on the line to call her to get her to tell the story. But I wonder if she's available. But a friend of ours called. I recognized the number because we had the early caller ID. Hey, you want tickets to a hockey game? Yeah. So later on, I told my mom, hey, we're going to a hockey game. We are? Yeah.
Surprise!
Surprise! So it was, I'd never had interest in hockey before. I knew who the Flyers were. Be careful. And that was it. It was one game.
Yeah.
And it was 6 rows behind a home goal. That I can remember.
Wow.
And I also remember I kept yelling, get the ball! And everybody's like, it's a puck. Get that thing! That was it. Oh, you're so silly.
It's the special child.
Thank you.
Be
the
kind
only
to
child.
him.
But anywho.
Yeah, there's something about live hockey that you either love it or you don't. That's the way to know if you're on the fence. Like, I'm not sure if I could get into hockey. Go to a game, and it doesn't matter what level. It really doesn't. Go if you can go see a live game. That should be the litmus test for you. You'll either love it or you'll be like, nah, it's not for me.
There is something about seeing a game live, and especially as I was saying that season where I was up at the top all the time, watching the play develop, because on TV you miss some of it, but you can see a guy going to the left seemingly for no other reason. Oh, that's why he's over there. Or a guy hanging back on the play. Oh, that's why he's doing that. It's much better when you're actually at a game.
Yeah, and you don't have to hear the announcer.
Oh, and you don't have to hear Pierre McGuire. Oh. Can we go into the next subject? The NHL F-work, as I like to call them?
Just briefly.
You made the score back.
I know.
And for those who think I'm in charge of this show, guess what? Wrong. The NHL Network
is overall terrible.
Let me preface this by saying I appreciate the fact that I can watch hockey any time of the year. What I don't want to see is the playoffs that just happened.
We just watched them.
We just watched them.
If we're watching the NHL Network, we watched the playoffs. Yes, all of them.
All of them.
We watched them because we're hockey fans, and it was the playoffs. So we've seen them, and we know how they end.
Unbelievable. The amount of archives the NHL alone has from any other league that they sold to. Like the Vince McMahon of hockey. They have libraries that go back to beyond the 40s.
Yeah, I don't know. Anything that exists, they should have.
That they could air. That would get ratings. But they're airing the playoffs that just happened. That just happened. Hey, did you know the Blackhawks won the Stanley Cup? Well, you can watch it in about 3 weeks. You're going to see it again. My God. They can't.
Yeah, I understand it's summer and people are on vacation, but
I'm not.
They could just.
It's all about me.
They could put a little more time into it. Like Dan was saying, they have tons and tons of footage that they could be showing of old classic games, players that no one has seen in years, and films that were cut and shown in the movie theaters back in the day that hasn't seen the light of day for years.
Like, you know who does it? The MLB Network, and even ESPN Classic used to. And ESPN Classic, I would watch hours of the classic home run derbies. I'm talking about DiMaggio versus
Ted Williams.
Yeah, like these players that were only legend, that haven't been alive since you were alive because they were all smokers in their day and they all died.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
Guys that you could only see on baseball cards, on TV, you're actually watching them hit. They would air that stuff religiously. I would watch hours of old black and white home run derbies where you had 3 hits, and if you had 3 outs. Any home run you didn't hit, any ball you didn't hit was a home run, you're done. Your turn's over.
Yeah.
How many All-Star games?
Well, the stuff that I do wind up watching during the summertime is when they show the old Stanley Cup films from the 50s.
Oh, every Friday. They start from the
And
beginning.
they start at the beginning, and they show, and then as soon as they get into the 80s and 90s, I'm kind of like, I know how this one ends. I don't need to see it. But the stuff from the 50s and 60s is great. It takes you right back.
I mean, not to mention the fact that when men were men, and I'm not talking about, I'm not getting into the women playing hockey thing. I would love to see a woman on the ice. Nothing sexier than a woman in a hockey jersey. Anyway, well, except no clothes at all. When you didn't wear helmets, face masks, mouthpieces, nothing, and they were still going that speed.
Well, not quite that speed, because they were
almost that speed.
They were smokers, so they were quite that fast.
Oh, yeah, there it is.
Watching footage of a goalie without a mask is pretty amazing.
And it's pretty kind of ooh.
Yeah, it is. It's kind of that car accident kind of feeling. Like
you want to watch, you can't help but look away. Yeah. Especially, there's a great special they've aired. I've seen it 20 times now. About the first guy that wore the mask.
Jacques Plante.
Yes, thank you. I knew I was going to blank on his name. I've seen it 20 times now, but each time I watch it because it is an effed up story. How they were like, "You're not a man if you go out there without a mask." Well, screw you. I'd like to keep my eyes and my mouth, please.
Yeah.
And what did he became one of the most memorable goalies ever.
Well, yeah, it wasn't until Brodeur hung on as long as he had that he passed the majority of his records.
Yeah. I mean, God, what was he? How many years did he have?
I don't know. He didn't play that long. He played quite a long time for that era because players didn't last that long.
Oh, and you get 6 or 7 years out of those guys. Now you get guys like Yager who just won't die.
Yager's power all comes from his butt.
Yes.
Kelly
is completely convinced that Yager can keep the puck because he has a large ass.
He has a tremendous backside, and
it's true. When
he knows how to utilize it. It's amazing that he can keep his butt between any man and the puck.
When he's skating around a guy, what does he have defending him? His big butt, and the guy can't get anywhere near that puck. He's I get the puck.
He's a ninja.
We have so much stuff that we're going to save for the next episode next Monday. Which is good because that's overage for times we don't have hockey. Because I don't know what we're going to do in the off season. Probably, cry for now.
In the off season.
Football coming.
We just pretend that we care about baseball, but we don't.
Yeah, we don't.
Really don't.
I do.
I know you do, and I'm sorry.
How dare you? Not as much about hockey though. We have now 9 times out of 10. I don't care if we go over time, but since it's the first episode, I'm not going to push too much. There is a I'm going to have an intro specially made for you, an outro, starting next week. That our producer, the dean of credibility, Dean Dixon, is going to make up.
Hi, Dean.
Just look at the screen. Say hi. And again, I can't thank that man enough for believing in myself and everybody involved in Hell in a Cell to actually do something, think that we can actually do something. And again, last weekend when they had the 5 of us in the room doing those commercials for the other podcast, it was spilling out of us. It was spewing out of us. I have a segment based on Kelly explaining earlier her hobby. Savant's not the word for it. You're the Rain Man of hockey arenas. Kelly, I could name an arena. For example, and I hate to throw the wrestling example in, I have every WCW Monday Nitro from the first episode to the end of 97 right now. And I'll be watching. I'll be like, hey, do you know where that is? She'll name the arena. I mean, it's only 15 years ago, but still, we can watch footage of anything. She goes, yeah, know where they are. Not only that, you can name about not 15, I'm exaggerating. You can name about 3 or 4 hockey teams that were in that arena. I'm talking about teams you haven't even heard before, which may seem like this is a bullcrap trivia question. It is not. You can find all this information online. I've backed up every time I've asked her. They can't hear that. Every time I've asked her, I've researched. I'm like, I'll be damned if she didn't name every team. For example, I don't have a name for it yet. Kelly's Random Hockey Trivia. If anybody can come up with a clever name, throw it my way. Obey Puck Show on Twitter. It's going to be obeypuckshow@comcast.net. It's going to be the email address. Start sending them there. When I create the email, the server will pull the emails in. So it'll go like this. For example, I will name in Cherry Hill, New Jersey, my hometown, they used to have the Cherry Hill Arena. You will name
Jersey Larks and the Jersey Devils.
That's an easy one because you know it.
Yep.
I'm also going to keep this one I'm pulling up randomly, but I'm only going to do it to prove the point. And next week I'm going to start picking ones that I haven't talked to you about that week. If I, for example, say the Norfolk Scope in Norfolk, Virginia.
Oh, gosh.
You can name how many teams.
Well, there's the...
Not in any particular order, but listen to this, folks. Go for it.
Virginia Red Wings, who became the Tidewater Red Wings.
That's what I'm talking about.
And then the Hampton Roads Admirals, who became the Norfolk Admirals. I'm sure there were other ones in there, but I can't think of them.
That's okay. That's it. That's all I want. Now, what we do while we're on the show is do this, which I'll have pulled up because I pulled that randomly. Is we'll look it up and verify. I spelled Norfolk.
N-O-R.
I was being sarcastic.
Norfolk.
Norfolk Scope.
Sounds filthy.
I only pronounce it like I was being sarcastic, Dean. Anywho, if we look at former tenants, well, actually, they still play there, right?
Oh, yeah, the Admirals are still there.
You'll see the Admirals, and you'll see the other teams there. That was the East Coast Hockey League. But we're going to do this to where I will have the answers written down. I will have the answers written down, and I'm going to name a completely random arena. I'm going to find one online. I'm going to verify the information a couple times, and I'm going to ask you. Because I know you'll eventually, like, a week later, oh! And that's how we're going to end the show every week. For those who have been listening to this or are listening live, or, well, not anymore, but are listening on the podcast, I thank you. This is going to be, like I said, weekly, as long as the hockey season lasts until we have a Stanley Cup winner. We might even do, if it goes to a Game 7 on Stanley Cup, we're doing a show that night. We're doing it late, so we know that the game, we know we're the first ones.
We finish it up. Because we'll be watching.
I'll be watching.
You'll be watching.
If the Flyers aren't on it, I'll be sleeping in a corner somewhere.
Crying silently to yourself. Yeah.
Which happens every year.
Pretty much.
Yeah. But I want to thank you for listening, and we'll be back next Monday at 9 o'clock. Follow us on Twitter at ObeyPuckShow. Email us any suggestions or comments or anything at all hockey-related to ObeyPuckShow@Comcast.net. Follow the main show, Hell in a Cell Talk Radio, Wednesday nights at 9 o'clock at HIAC Talk Radio. HIAC Talk Radio. That's it. You follow me on Twitter at DanWall83. Listen tomorrow night at 9:30 for the debut of Moose Knuckle Radio, Moose Knuckle Entertainment. I don't have an outro. I don't know what to do, so I'll just I'm going to find this for Dean because I like it so much. We're going to end it this week. I can't find it. We're just going to end it like this.